So this problem is asking us to find the orthocenter of a triangle with vertices. So first of all, let's draw our triangle. I'm going to call this point A, this one point B, and this one point C. So A is at 0, 2. That's going to be A. B is going to be at negative 2, 6. That's going to be right here. Negative 2, 6 is going to be B. And then finally C is at 4, 0. That's going to be here, C at 4, 0. So let's draw that triangle. I'm going to draw it in different colors so we can refer to the different sides. So A to B, AB is right there. AC is here. And then finally we'll do BC is right here. All right. Now the first thing I need to do is I need to pick a side. Again, there are 3 different altitudes and I'm just going to pick one. I'm going to try to find the altitude for the line AC here. So imagine I'm going to take this and I'm going to sort of extend this line out. So from A to C, if I extend this line out like this, I'm then going to draw the orthocenter from here, something like that. There's the orthocenter. Something like, what's it going to be? Something like this. There we go, like that, and because this is a right angle right here. So I'm trying to find the equation for this line here. This is the altitude. But before I find the altitude, I need to first find the slope for AC. So my first equation, I'll put this in green because it goes with this green line right here. Oops, that wasn't what I want to do. Make this green. There we go, this line from here to here. Okay, now, so step 1. Jeez, Christopher. 1, I'm going to find the slope of AC. Okay, so to do that, slope is rise over run, or my y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. So in this case, that's going to be 0 minus 2 over 4 minus 0, or that's going to be negative 2 over 4, or reduce that down to negative 1/2. So now I know the slope of line AC is 1/2. Now the second thing I'm going to have to do is I'm going to find the slope of the altitude of AC. Okay, and that's going to be, we'll put it in a different color here so we can see it. Again, that's going to be this one right here. So we're going to find that altitude of AC, which is in red. Okay, so to do that, what I know is that they make a right angle right here, and 2 lines that are perpendicular to each other have negative opposite slopes. So I know that m1 times m2 is going to equal negative 1. So this slope is now negative 1/2 times m2 equals negative 1. So I know, therefore, if I multiply both sides by negative 1/2, or if I multiply both sides by negative 2, I'm going to get that m2 equals 2. So now I know my slope of this altitude is 2. So the next thing I need to do is come up with the equation for it. Okay, so once again I need the equation, and what I know is I have the point slope format. The point slope format is y minus y1 equals my slope times x minus x1. Okay. So what point I have, I know that my slope is 2, and I know a point is going to be point B, and that is at negative 2, 6. Negative 2, 6. Okay, so now I can plug it in. I know y minus 6 equals 2 times x minus a negative 2. If I do this all out, distribute, so if I distribute, I'm going to get y minus 6 equals 2 times, 2x. 2x, negative times a negative is a positive, so that's positive 2 times 2 is plus 4. If I were to add 6 to both sides, I end up with my equation y equals 2x plus 10. So now I've done all this to get one equation. There's my line. Actually, I'll do it in a different, I'll do it in red because there's my equation for my line in red. It's going to be y equals 2x plus 10. Great. Now let's do all this whole thing or something similar again. We're going to do the same thing, but this time we're going to find, I'm going to find the slope of line BC. So that'll be in orange. I'm going to find the slope. I'm going to do the same thing to find a different equation. In this case, I'm going to find, let's do purple. The altitude is going to look like this. Something like that. It's going to be a right angle. Okay. So to find the slope, again, it's going to be y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. So in this case, that's going to be 0 minus 6 over 4 minus negative 2. That's going to equal negative 6 over 6, which equals negative 1. So now I have the slope of BC. Great. Now the next thing I need to do, I should call this 1 actually, just so I don't get confused. Call that 1. Step 2, I'm going to find the slope of the altitude of BC. Okay, and so once again, what do I know? I know that m1 times m2 equals negative 1. In this case, I have negative 1 times m2 equals negative 1, so m2 equals 1. I know my slope of this line here. Actually, again, we'll put it in purple, make it easier. Okay, so I know the slope is 1. And now once again, I need to do the equation. And again, this is the altitude of BC. Okay, so once again, that's going to be y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay, and my slope is going to be 2, and the point that I'm going to have on this one is going to be point A. Point A, as you can see, goes through the line. So point A, which is 0, 2. So I've got y minus 2 equals 1 times x minus 0. Whoops. X minus 0. So that's y minus 2 equals x. Add 2 to both sides. Y equals, let's do it in the color we said here. So we have this other equation, which is y equals x plus 2. Okay, so let's draw this equation here a little better. So we know it has a slope of 1 and goes through the y-intercept of 1, so it goes a slope of 1, so rise over 1. Looks like that. And it comes down from here, going down 1 over 1, like that. Okay, so there's our altitude for that one. Now the final thing we need to do is we need to do a step 3 here. Final step is do a systems of equations. Solve the system. So if this line in red here is y equals 2x plus 10, and this line in purple here is y equals x plus 2. Well, here are all the solutions for the purple line. Here are all the solutions for the red line. Right here is going to be our solution. We got to find out what that is. And so to do that, if here y equals 2x plus 10 and y equals x plus 2, they're both the same y, so they must be equal to each other. So I know that x plus 2 equals 2x plus 10. If I subtract x from both sides, 2 equals x plus 10. If I subtract 10, I end up with x equals negative 8. Okay, if x equals negative 8, take that negative 8 and I'm going to plug it into this equation right here. I could do it either one, it doesn't matter, they're going to have the same solution, but this one looks easier. So y equals negative 8 plus 2. So that's y equals negative 6. So I'm going to have the point of x equals negative 8, y equals negative 6. So this point is going to be negative 8, comma negative 6.